Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Morgan.
And we know better.
Welcome to our 6th episode.
Yeah. Pride episode 2, one could say.
Pride episode 2, one could say. And guess what? I think we perfectly timed the starting of our podcast. So we started it on a year where there's 3 Mondays in June. No, wait. There's 5 Mondays in June.
3 posting Mondays.
3 posting Mondays, even though we missed one technically. But it doesn't matter.
All the same.
Still, counts.
Yeah. But despite the fact that we look drastically different from when we last filmed, we only filmed, 4 days ago?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're filming again. But you guys like my hair? It's Pride Month, so I got a wolf cut.
Thank you. Yes. It is mandatory. All bisexuals, please be clocking in to get your mandatory shag.
I think everyone needs to get more gay. Get the androgynous wolf cut haircut. It works for everyone.
I don't think it looks very androgynous on me when I do it.
You've never had a wolf cut, though.
Yes, I do. I just have curly hair. Look at my layers, fair. Girl.
I know, but once it gets longer than here, it's called something else.
Oh.
Don't ask me what it was, but because I yesterday at the hairdresser, she was doing my hair, and I was like, I want to keep the length, and she said, well, that's blank. That's not a wolf cut. But then there was some stuff. We're 3/4 of getting. There's only 3 to 4 inches left of the damage. I had split dyed my own hair with my sister. Horrible decision. We did 2 rounds of bleach, and it was too high volume, and I fried basically my hair off. So I had just breakage all over, and I started going to my hairdresser, 9 Key Salon in Minneapolis. She's the best. Anyway,
and she knows about the podcast.
Yeah.
Not know if she'll ever find this clip, but
yeah, she does know about the podcast. We talked about it, but yeah, so I've been going to this hairdresser for about a year because I wanted to keep doing Vivids, but at the same time I had fried half my head, and I no longer had trust to ever touch bleach ever again. So I went to her, went blue, etc., etc., etc. So this left side is all healthy now, except we just have some of the bottom is just dead as fuck. Mm-hmm. So she was like, okay, but we could just do an actual, I know you want to keep the length, but just sacrifice it this time, and we'll do, this is basically the bounds of wolf cut. Typically it would be 2 or 3 shorter.
Sure.
Than this. I'm somewhere in between. But she was explaining it to me because she was like, the media makes you think it's because of its popularity, the longer, but she was like, that's the more, she described it as a more feminine version, even though that's not really what it is, but it's stereotypically, if a woman is going to get a wolf cut, it would go in this way, but it's actually called something that I cannot fucking remember for the life of me.
Yeah, sure. No, that's fair. I mean, well, y'all, if you guys are fans of me or know me, y'all know my hair's long right now. This is long for me. My hair when we met, my hair was to here.
It was quite short.
It's grown a lot since, and it's been lots of different. Well, there was a period of time when I just wasn't cutting my hair either, and that's very unlike me. But it's usually got some pretty heavy layers in it.
I like the long, though. It's kind of giving, 70s shag. 70s rock star. I mean, you don't really wear leather or dark clothes all that much, but, that's the hairstyle it's giving, especially when you let it just be curly, which I like.
It just, when it's shorter, it's curlier.
Yeah.
And I like it better, but I don't know. I'm in a long hair phase now, and that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
But I do need to I need to tighten up on these layers. This is unacceptable how long this is.
Right.
It needs to be shorter. Needs more layers, needs to be more bisexual.
Yeah. I guess to me, though, the wolf cut is just queer in general.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Across the board. I guess not specifically bisexual. But also maybe I just want to get the wolf cut in a more androgynous way than what my hair previously was, so I'm definitely 100% biased in that opinion.
Yeah.
But then we went the same colors, and that's why I have the ring of purple on my fucking forehead. Because she washes it, with my head tilted back, as opposed to if I dye my hair, refresh it in the shower, I'm sticking my whole face in there to scrub so that I don't have the leftover dye. But the problem is she does my hair, so she cut also just pieces in different shapes and stuff, so it's not really concise layers, so that I can have that more goth wolf cut look.
Yeah, for sure.
So she styled it, and I want to keep the style for, as long as possible, but I can only stand having, a ring of purple on my head for, so long. So it's always the catch-22, because I want to keep it as long as possible, because I like the way she styles it, but at the same time I get home, and I'm like, I need to wash my head right now.
It doesn't look like that bad or noticeable.
Well, because
like,
I went in, though, with
fair
makeup
enough,
remover, and I scrubbed around my hairline.
It's just like a male lineup. When they get their lines up to, like, yeah, I could see it. But it doesn't
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like. Like, I shaved my head,
but it's
and that's where, yes,
yeah.
it's 100%.
It's just like the girl version of a lineup. And I don't think it looks bad, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
No. But I really like it. I was also kind of in a long hair phase, or getting there, and a good part of me wants to have hair that keeps getting longer, but the problem is every time my hair gets a little long, she's like, all right, let's get rid of this dead hair, let me chop it off. And I never want to say no, because I want to keep dyeing my hair these vivid colors, and to do that, it needs to be taken care of, and et cetera, and she has a specific way she wants to do it, and I'm like, that's why it's also like, I do pay a decent amount of money, but I go every 10 weeks, so it's like once every 2.5 months. Mm-hmm. And also, I just can't go back. I can't go back. That was a rough time when I thought I could split dye my own hair.
Yourself, right.
Well, that's why when you met me, my hair was long. I hadn't cut it yet, but like, yes. I don't remember if you remember, that split dye was like 5 different shades of green, because also I had my hair dyed black by a professional before I started work, because I thought I couldn't have vivids at work. But then I started working, and they were like, girl, we don't fucking care what you look like. And I was like, okay, I need to dye my hair. So I thought the bleach, like, would just work, and it didn't. So I had, like, brassy yellow, as well as the super light, and, like, different places where I'd had other colors before. Right. So, like, a good part of it was, like, mud green and yellowy. And then super soon after that, I went to a salon to refresh it, and they were like, girl, this is broken off in so many fucking places, and they chopped it into, like, a fucking bob. And then I had the split dye bob. Until I decided I need to have blue hair. But I hated the salon I had went to previously to do well, it wasn't their fault that they had to cut all my hair off. That was my own fault. But it was like, the haircut was like $400, and then like the dye was like $400 as well. I paid like $1,000, and I was like, all right.
$400 for a haircut, yeah. It's
for both?
Literally insane.
For $800 for both is crazy. I pay about, well, my hairstylist does it by hour, but it's normally around $400-$450 every time I go, and so with tax I'm probably paying around $500, but she does the hair care, she does the cut every time, and she does whatever dye I want without, I don't know, definitely more on the expensive side, but in that it's combined, so in my head that's worth it, if that makes sense. Meanwhile, this other place was paying me $400 for just the haircut, and then $400 for the dye as well, and I was like, all right, that's just insane. An arbitrary price, that's not, you know.
Yes. I could never. I procrastinate going. Well, there's a lot of reasons I procrastinate going to get my hair cut, but one of those is money, and that's because I don't want to spend $80 on a haircut, and that's it. That's me. Who is that girl? If you guys knew me back in senior year of college, girlie had all her things done. My nails were always done, my eyelashes were done, and my hair was always, I had regular haircuts.
See, I had to drop the eyelashes because I think I always say, like, I want to be doing consistently one, it doesn't have to be beauty per se, but one thing to make myself feel good.
Sure. And
it was eyelashes for a good year, but then I was like, I need to have blue hair, and I saw the pricing of what I paid, but I just love my hairdresser, we get along super well, it's always a great time, and she always does my hair so right, and it's healthy, so I was like, I would rather pay this than be paying not $100, it was more like $60 for a fill, $100 for a full set, though, every 3 weeks.
Right.
I know it really doesn't add up to the same, it really fucking doesn't, but, like, in my head, I was like, well, I can't be doing both.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, but I really thought I would feel, like, naked, like, my eyes would feel naked afterwards, but it wasn't horrible. It was kind of nice to put on mascara again.
Sure. It's a little bit of an adjustment period. I mean, yours were always kind of very natural, so I think it was always, like, not too crazy, but... Yeah, once you, like, stop, same with the nails, I did nails for 2 years, long acrylics for 2 years straight, and I thought I would die without having them, but now I don't think I could do them again.
I've never liked having, oh my god, my nails look dirty as hell, guys, I promise it's purple dye. I've never liked having acrylics. I only ever did it when my sister was in college, and she was struggling with friends, and so she was like, can we go? And so I was just like, yeah. And also I was paying for it because I was the older sister, but
sure.
I don't like them. I don't like how it makes my nails feel afterwards. It feels cunty, but I am just not a careful person, so I know, like, it's not a good job technically if it breaks so easily.
Yeah,
but it would true. It would break in, like, a crazy way, where it's like, I just, like, and the pain of them coming off.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd rather paint my own nails, but at the same time, I always paint them so that you can't tell if my nails are dirty or not, because I always have fucking hair dye in them because I scratch my head. So right now is not really a good example, but...
Well, the reason why I like them is I have baby hands and baby fingers, and so they always made me feel more adult. Like, it just looked more like an adult hand. And that's why I don't really like I go plain, because when I just regularly paint for me, it feels more like that is a child that painted their hand.
Right.
Versus, like, when it's just natural, you just don't even notice it.
And I liked the chip nail look, which I feel like is not a typical thing that someone, like, you know what I mean? So I don't feel the need to constantly be keeping up with it, which is also a nice thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do spend too much money on my hair, but like I said, I can't go back.
Pure money.
I cannot go back. That was horror. When our friend talks about how she does her own hair, she knows way more about hair than I ever will or ever have. Like, she in many ways, she's always been a better goth than me. 100%. 100%. But sometimes she'd be talking and she's like, I'm just gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and it's all gonna work out. And I have like war flashbacks to when I was just that nonchalant, and it just went so bad for me. But
yeah, I'll never have that bravery. Not that I've ever felt such a compulsion to ever dye my hair, but I'm so scared that it will, like, ruin my curl pattern forever, because my curl pattern is already very fragile as it is. I don't think I'll ever do anything.
I didn't know I had curly hair until very recently. I mean, I don't have, like, full-blown curls, but both me and my sister... Well, me and my sister had very curly hair when we were babies. But the thing is, my mom has never, ever... And my mom grew up with curly hair, and so did all of her sisters. And so did my grandma. And my cousins all grew up with curly hair, but had moms that, like, did curl care. My mom would dry brush my hair, like, all the way out. And I always had waves in my hair, but she just dry brushed it until it was straight every time. Yeah. And also, she didn't cut my hair for the first 6 or 7 years of my life at all. And I hated brushing my hair, so I would have, like, 5 rat's nests at any given time, and she would have to literally hold me down while I would scream and brush my hair out. There was one time we went to because also, she had me doing things that would get my hair super, like ratty like that. We were swimming in the lake on a swim team. Like, no cap, just my hair fucking long ass to my fucking ankle hair in the water. Yeah. There was one time when me and my best friend Allie my childhood best friend, came home, and we were having a slumber party, and my mom was like, okay, well, while you're watching your little movie before bed, I'll comb your hair. Took the entirety of Pirates of the Caribbean Curse of the Black Pearl to do my hair. Yeah. And then at one point, she cut it all off. But I can't believe she I don't understand why she put up with it that long also. Like, why did you wait 8 years? At any time, you could have gave me a fuck-ass bob. I was a child. I had no say in that.
The parents just get to a point. My hair was in a bob starting in kindergarten, and then that was still too much of a fight I was giving my mom, and I got a pixie cut first grade. Same Kimmy. Under the guise of a choice. It's like when you're gentle parenting and you're like, here's your choice. But it was more just, oh, don't you want to cut your hair really short so people can see your earrings? Because we got our ears pierced at 6 years old. So they're like, don't you want to get your hair cut short so that you can see it? No, my Marla will confess, she got that so she wouldn't have to brush our hair and deal with our crying fights of me and Kimmy anymore.
That makes sense to me, though. Like, why would you, especially if your kid is clearly miserable when you're doing it as well. Like, not even touching the fact that the parents probably fucking hate it. No one likes doing that. My mom did not want to sit for 2 hours straight brushing my fucking hair. Unless she did, and that's weird if she did, but then also she wouldn't brush it consistently. So I would go, my parents, okay, so I can't really say that, but my parents would send me to fucking public school with actual rat's nests on my hair, and teachers and other people would notice and, like, take concern. Right. Like, we were not flying under the I was gonna say, I can't believe we got away with it and no one ever called CPS on my family, but then I was like, well, people did notice that I was showing up with giant rat's nests in my head. Yeah. People, oh my god, and I literally got made fun of it. 4th grade was that's when I met Brooke.
4th grade was my bad year, too.
Rough.
4th grade sucked.
I got told all these horrible things by my, like, so-called friend group at the time. No hate to Brooke or anyone who's in that friend group at this time, because we had a ringleader, her name was Emma, and she hated me, because me and Brooke and Emma were a trio that then expanded, I would say. And the thing about me and Brooke in a friend group is, well, also, we were coming from really bad family situations. We were both mentally ill, and both of us were just acting out all our emotions all the time. So we were very emotionally volatile children.
Mentally ill children? You're saying? At 10?
Well, maybe
okay,
not
I would argue
ill.
that children are not really mentally ill.
Maybe
They're
not
children.
mentally ill, but we were emotionally volatile.
I'm sure,
all
yes.
the time
I would
because
agree
we were
with that.
Constantly
because of your
acting out
family
from what was
situation.
happening in our environments.
No, I agree with
And
that.
we were,
I just hesitate to call children mentally ill. I'm like, no, you're a product of your environment.
Yeah, that's true. And me and Brooke latched onto each other like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, in any friend group, we were both, like, fucking firecrackers about to go off. And we had many friends throughout the years in our multiple friend groups pit us against each other for that reason. Because we weren't necessarily the ringleaders. I think in some friend groups we definitely were. But in the 4th grade one, it was definitely this girl, Emma. But we were always the people that would make the big blow-up fights happen, and everyone wanted, so if you wanted the drama or things like that. But Emma fucking hated my guts for absolutely no good reason, and she would, like, I would be drawing with my friend Lauren, who was in the friend group, and she would be like, you actually suck at drawing, and you should never do that again, and the whole friend group would be like, yeah, you're the worst drawer in the class. And I'd be like, I'm gonna kill myself, like, what the hell? And then we would play cops and robbers with the boys, and okay, I got the boyfriend group to even join our friend group because I was friends with this guy named Kyle because he started going on my bus. He was just this white boy. He's literally the craziest man ever. Like, the evolution of what he became as an adult is fucking crazy. But, and so he became my friend because we sat on the bus together every single day. And so then he joined Cops and Robbers with his guy friends and the other guy friends in our class because he was also in the class. And they would literally, the girls would be like, they would call each other, like, fast girls. They would call themselves, like, little rabbits and things. And they would literally turn to me and Lauren and be like, you guys are turtles because you're fat and you run slow.
Ooh.
Yeah. And everyone was just like, yeah, you're the turtles. Even fucking Kyle! And everyone, my Brooke still makes fun of me to this day. She was like, you had such a crush on him? Yeah, I did. We were on the same bus, and we were...
What is about boys on the damn bus?
Me and
boys
him
on the damn bus!
Me and Kyle were... I was trying to drop his last name. It was crazy. Me and Kyle were locked in before y'all even knew his fucking name! And guess what? It wasn't... And I don't like, actually, when people make fun of me for that, because, yes, it's true. 100%. You can call me out on it. It's true. But so is every other girl in the friend group. We're all fighting for a little piece of Kyle. Okay?
That's how it is. There's always, like, one guy that you lock in on, the whole, like, grade locks in on, and then you'll bounce in between some of them.
I don't think he was, like, grade worthy, but he was definitely the hot shit of the
class.
Well,
how many people were in your, like, elementary school?
200 per grade.
Yeah. Oh, see, yeah, that's why. Mine was 30 people.
Oh,
so well, it was the whole girls.
There was, like, about 30 people in our class, so that would make sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was the grade was the class. Really, because there was, like, 2 classes of, like, 15 kids, and, it would be, this was the guy that everyone's focusing on, and but, yes, there's always something, and if there's not a boy your age on the bus, then you're looking at one of the older boys on the bus.
Yeah, fair. And then that whole thing accumulated until Emma told everyone to just stop talking to me, and Brooke came up to me when I was at the locker after I'd been cold turkeyed by everyone, including her, and she looked at me and she was like, just so you know, Emma's making us all ignore you, and I don't really know why, and I'm sorry. Then she walked away, and I was like, damn.
What is it about 10-year-old girls? Like, I'm actually scared. I think they are the most ruthless beings on the planet. Like, they're just in that perfect age where it's like, some of them are hitting puberty, but it's really just the start, so you're, like, all just getting, you haven't gone through the puberty. You're just, like, it's something about tipping him over the edge, because once everyone hits puberty, then everyone's self-confidence goes down, and you all just hate yourselves more than you hate other people. But something about being 10, it brings out the worst in girls.
The late elementary school, you're so right, because not everyone has lost their self-confidence, and a lot of kids, I feel like, when you're in that late elementary age, are actually overconfident.
Yeah, because then you're becoming, like, the older of the school, too.
Because I feel like when you hit middle school, it's also horrors, and, like, everyone's pitted against each other, and girls are mean, but it's all coming from the fact that we all turn into wild animals that are all fighting for survival. Yeah. I think
it's a different type.
When you're in, like, elementary, it's like, no, there are girls who are just being a dick because they, like, are high on the power of it. I'm sure that generalizing
stuff at home probably too, but it's like, regardless, it's not, when it's middle school and stuff, it is, you're bullying out of your own place of self. Like,
everyone hates themselves in middle school. I can't say the same thing about the 4th grade.
But in 4th grade, like, that bitch literally thinks she's better than you.
Yeah.
That 10-year-old girl thinks she's better than you because she thinks she is. Like, she doesn't give a fuck. And that's why we have the confidence of, like, we literally when the girls say you're swimming at the pool flirting with the lifeguards and you genuinely think looking like that they're going to come flirt with you, because as a 10-year-old girl,
literally,
you think
you're so delusional.
You think
yes, it's possible.
Like this is possible.
I was like 100% certain that me and Kyle were soulmates, and no one else in the group could ever understand that, because then we would, well, I mean, not that I completely don't believe that at this point. Not that I want this man right now. He actually was friends with Nick in high school. That's the crazy part. But, like, we would go on the bus and we would actually talk about real shit, because he was having an interesting and complicated family life as well. So, like, we would get real. Yeah. But then he would come and play cops and robbers with the other girls, and they would think they know him. Like, no, you
don't know Kyle like
maybe
I know Kyle.
Maybe I have unhealed wounds, because I'm really defensive right now. But, like, they did not know him like I knew him, but then he would be calling me a fucking turtle! And I'd be like, where was the solidarity from the bus, man? And then...
I know your deepest, darkest secret, bitch.
Yes, exactly. I know the things that you don't tell anyone, and yet
that's what men like to do, though. But
true. But yeah, no, that whole friend group and everyone in that class shamelessly were like, so you just hate brushing your hair, you fucking weirdo, which was true. But also, my hair, when it gets to a rat's nest, it's at a point where a child cannot get that out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yes, they get that way because I hated brushing my hair, but also my mom kept my hair, but it was past my butt, like butt long. She kept my hair that long and then was neglecting it, and then I was neglecting it because also as a child I gave actually zero shits about self-care whatsoever. Yeah. And maybe I think that's kind of a child thing, but maybe it has something to do with the environment I was in as well. Like, I didn't care. Yeah. I didn't want to touch, I mean, everything goes back, you know, to my childhood, but I've always fucking hated myself, and, like, I probably didn't think I deserved to, like, brush my hair, or I didn't want to, because I didn't want to think about that I was a person with long hair. I didn't want to think about it too much, because I hated all of it. Yeah,
same. I can, like, pinpoint my insecurities from starting around 4th grade as well. I specifically remember when someone made an offhand comment that my hair was greasy, because I also wasn't taking showers as much as I should have been for a girl with a growing body.
Yes, that is just a kid thing, I think.
Yep, and so my hair was greasy, and then someone said something once, and now I think about it every single day for the rest of my life. And there's lots of other bullying stories from 4th grade, but that's, like, actually traumatic, and I'm not going to get into all of that. But it's just horrible. 4th grade is the worst. If you're a 4th grade girl... what did Martin do? If you're a 10-year-old boy... if you're a 4th grade girl, like, literally, it'll get better.
Yeah. But it actually won't, because to me, 7th grade was the worst year of my life. I think 7th grade, best year of my life in terms of I peaked completely, and I full-heartedly believe, yes, you can look at me, yes, and I believe it, and I'll explain it in a minute. Okay. But also, the worst year of my life, I think, to date, because in 7th grade, I wore, like, long-sleeved heart sweaters every single day, a new one every single day. I was the quirky girl from the fucking coming of age, and I knew it, and I thought that was hot shit. And I had long hair, once again, after my mom had been chopping it for so long. And my middle school, when I started middle school, 6th grade was our start, we were the first generation in my town to get computers and Google accounts. So in my 7th grade, I had unfiltered access to everything Google had to offer. We were Google chatting, we were emailing, we were sharing documents. Google Chat, like, when my sister was going through, was so much more restricted. And so I got a middle school boyfriend. That's why I peaked. Okay, Laszlo, if you're out there... Oh my God. There's actually a joke of me and Matt say, because Matt is now in Laszlo's friend group, and he's the one I'm actually friends with to this day. Whenever we talk about Laszlo, he goes, so, like, rekindled the flame. Jesus. And I'm like, yeah, like, do you want me or what? No. No. That was a joke. Clarification. Because they listened to the first 2 episodes, so maybe they'll hear that. But, I was hot shit in middle school. I got a fucking middle school boyfriend. He was from Hungary. And, like, we would fucking Google chat every single night. And we had, like, well, also, you know, middle school, all the rage was you're depressed. Like, but you're not actually, well, I definitely was, but I over-dramatized all of my mental health issues. Because that was the fucking rage for our generation. It just was. Yes. And I'm not going to apologize for it because everyone did it. Okay? We all... were very dramatic. So I was telling this man the craziest shit on the daily. I mean, granted, a lot of the things I was saying about my family weren't really that untrue. Sure. Probably true. But he was like, he wanted to save me so fucking bad. And it was great. We would Google chat till, like, 2 in the morning every day, and then I would switch to fanfiction, and I'd read about One Direction having sex with each other. Like, what a fucking great time to be alive! But also, the horrors of that year, me and Brooke were we hated each other. We had a girl, her name was Erin, actually, I don't fucking feel bad about saying it. She wrote an actual Wattpad multi-story, like, series, where I was the good guy. We all had superpowers, but I was the main character, and I was the good guy, and Brooke, was the villain who tried to break me and Laszlo apart every book. And I thrived off of it because I'm an attention whore, and I loved that she would... Hey, later found out I was her sexual awakening. She had a crush on me during that time.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense, because why is...
She got me and Laszlo to break up.
Fanfiction.
Also. And she would tell me and Brooke that the other was saying things about them, and then pit us against each other so that we would fight. She wanted me to hate Brooke so bad. But then she would, like, write, and the whole friend group would eat that shit up, and I was so self-involved that I thought it was great, because I was like, yeah, I want her to think I'm the fucking hero. She would write me as the most beautiful girl on earth, like, all this shit. And I was like, well, yes. But then, like, I can't even imagine being Brooke at that period of time. Your friends are constantly writing fan fiction about you where you're fucking evil.
Yeah.
Evil, and she would be described as, like, ugly and, like, wearing ugly clothes and, like, doing horrible things. And, of course, that was the backdrop to the actual war between me and Brooke going on in real life.
Sure, yeah.
So that was kind of the horrors. And also family shit going on at home was the worst it's ever been, was in 7th grade. But I had a 7th grade boyfriend, and I can't lie. And I had no idea about my sexuality at the time, too. So kind of shit went crazy. I can't lie. We never actually hung out, ever.
That is kind of what's the W. Now, if you want a boyfriend,
you have to actually hang out with him. And, like,
so now it's not even work.
Yeah,
What's the
it's
point
not
of
fun.
being...
And our song was Timeless from Austin and Ally. We are timeless. And then also Guardian Angel, but I don't actually know who the artist was. It was some random artist. But it was all about how he was going to save me. It was so great.
Oh, God.
What a time to be alive.
I never had any middle school boyfriends. I wasn't allowed to date, and I was terrified. And also, I didn't talk to boys. I'm still that way to this day. Never had any boyfriends, and I've, like, boy space friends. Never was, like, not talking to them unless forced. I've never been that way. I'm never interested.
Yeah, that was a big reason why we broke up. I actually got scared my mom was going to find out.
Yeah, real. It's a valid fear.
At that my parents age, would have beat my shit. They would have been like, what the hell is wrong with you?
No, I'm, like, was genuinely terrified of what would happen if...
Yes.
It wouldn't even approach.
Even when I started, in early high school when I was dating, I was not a man, so that was never going to ever come to light. But, I was 17 when I started dating Nick, and I still didn't tell my parents for 3 months. They had to sit me down and have an intervention being like, we know you're dating a man. And I was like, they're going to yell at me. Like, girl, you're 17 years old!
Yeah, pretty much. I remember telling my parents for the first time, and I thought I was literally going to throw up. What is that?
That has to do with some sort of shame that's been taught into us. Oh, it definitely has to do with
an
the
older
fact
daughter thing, question mark? Because, I don't know,
maybe.
It's hard to tell, but...
my brain went to, like, dads want their daughters to be pure, and they're like, I will shoot, like, the whole trope of, like, I'm gonna kill my daughter's boyfriend, she can never have a boyfriend, or even when he
very rampant with
they
my
get
family.
to, like, dating age, being like, the dad's always like, well, you better
my dad's song
watch your
for all
ass.
of us is called Cleaning My Gun.
Well, that's crazy.
And it's a country song about a guy coming to pick a teenager coming to pick the singer, dad's daughter up for prom, and he's like, okay, well, have her back on time. I'm going to be cleaning my gun while you're gone. That was my dad's
It's definitely
song.
that.
So we were listening to that, and he would, like, literally request it on the radio, and, like, they would shout us out, and then he'd play that song.
That is crazy. There's definitely shame that daughters grow up with.
Yeah.
Or shame, not shame necessarily, probably a bad word for it, but, like, fear.
It is.
That it's a bad thing.
Shame is part of it.
Yes,
too,
but, like, you're doing a bad thing by doing this.
Yep.
Even though, I'm sure that's not what dads intend, but that's definitely
they're
where
trying,
that root,
it's coming
like, comes
from a place of protection, I know, but I don't think...
But it's
mentally, it helped with my relationship with men.
That's the misogyny of it all, though, because at the end of the day, yes, it's coming from a place of protection, but at the end of the day, men believe they have some sort of ownership or sort of moral responsibility over women. And I know that I'm generalizing, because, when you do have a daughter, that's your child, you do have some sort of protective obligation over them. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Why are moms not cleaning her fucking guns, saying I'm gonna shoot that girl down in the street? I mean, there's definitely moms who want to fuck their son. Hey, I won't pretend that's not real because I live that shit. But like,
no,
that's
instead
not a
of
trope.
like killing the daughter, it's more I'm competing with the daughter.
Yes. Yeah, it's
or
like, I'm gonna fuck my son. I'm not gonna shoot his girlfriend down because she's gonna hurt him.
Yeah. Weird. I never had to deal with that, like, lens, because no boys in my I'm sisters only, so my mom never, I'm so thankful. I don't think of my mom would be a boy mom, but I don't think I love my mom, but I would be really, really angry at my mom if she was a boy mom. Like, if I had a brother and she was obviously a boy mom, I don't think I could forgive her for that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
We don't have that in my family, so I don't have to deal with that, but...
Well, that's also another thing, like, why is my mom not fucking cleaning her gun and trying to shoot Nick down as he's walking up the driveway when I was 17? Like, God knows I fucking needed it. Like, why don't... like, she was just like, I can't believe I'm so excited you're falling in love for the first time. Like, double standard here. You should be threatening to kill him, actually.
Yeah, well, your dad should have done that, actually. That's a man's job, and he should have done that. He wasn't there for you. He should have done it.
He probably did.
One thing that
I don't agree with the fact that it's a man's job.
I think
it's both parents' job to make sure your kid is not dating a psychopath.
Well, that's true.
You should both be cleaning the gun. The whole problem is when it's just a man, that's where that shame comes from.
Yeah.
Because it's the man who's telling you that. I know I'm getting really high level with it. I know there's a lot of nuance with everything I'm saying, but...
Well, my mom enforced it too, though. It was just clearly more my dad's thing, but my mom did enforce it.
That's fair. I guess my mom was more... I don't know. My mom was definitely excited when I was like... I don't know. She wasn't really, though. She was actually disappointed because I was in a friend group of like 4 guys, and when she sat me down for the intervention, she listed them all off, and then at last she was like, wait, it's Nick. And I was like, yeah, and she was like, that was the one I wanted it to be the least.
Yeah,
sorry.
She didn't like your choice. She was okay with you dating, she just didn't like your choice.
Exactly.
Well, just, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
yeah, sorry.
No, it's good. It's just like, it's a very real thing that I think a lot of women deal with, and it does really affect your relationships going forward, kind of the way you're just taught to see them as you're growing up. It just feels weird because all of a sudden it goes from no, you can't date to why aren't you dating? And it felt like an immediate switch, and I was like, well, what the fuck?
Well, it's kind of what we were talking about before the pod, which is kind of funny where our conversation ended up going once we started filming, but we are taught from literal birth that men have to be the center of our universe. Even when it's about us, it's not really about us, you know? If I was straight and it's about our love life, it's either you can't be dating this man, you're too young, or why aren't you dating a man?
Yeah.
Does that really have to do with me? It's about me feeling like society's telling me I have to go find a man. Right. And also growing up, all the princesses happily ever after with the man.
Right.
Unless it's, well, no, even Frozen has Kristoff. The only acceptable
It did, like, I mean, it was progress forward, that it was like, oh, sisterly love is important, but there was still, like... She still gets the guy at the end of the day.
And then what the fuck do boys watch? Fucking cars turning into giant robots and then fist fighting each other? And then Megan Fox is there too? Like, shit! Yeah. I want Megan Fox in my fucking movies, and I want to see fucking cars. No, I don't really want to see cars fight. Although I would fuck Optimus Prime. But, like, you know what I'm saying? The difference is crazy.
Yes.
Like,
no, it is.
What did men watch else? SpongeBob? Like, I don't really know. I'm trying to think of, like, the equivalent to, like, the classic, our generation of women's Disney princess.
Yeah. I can't think of anything, because I didn't grow up around boys, so I don't know what they were watching. I don't
really know.
I
think SpongeBob was definitely a big one.
What ones? Holes?
Alvin and the Chipmunks. I would love to know the demographic pull-up.
I don't think boys were watching
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
I feel like it's gotta be women. Or girls. Little girls.
I can't watch it now, the live action, again, because I see Theodore with his big eyes, and I, like, feel, like, really devastated inside. And that's crazy, because that's, Jesse McCartney.
Yeah.
Is the voice. Mm-hmm. Now I have the Chipmunks song, like, stuck in my head. It's fucking horrible. Okay, but wait, real question. If right now you had to date one of the, not the Chipmunks, like, as in, like, them as children, but, like, the caricature of each of those type of men, which one would you choose? Alvin,
like,
Simon,
characterized as humans?
Yes.
Like, their personalities.
Yeah, I'm not asking which chipmunk, but do you want to date? But do you know how they each kind of have, like, a representation of their personality?
Which one would I... Yes,
date right now? Who would you choose?
By choice, not by what I would usually end up, unfortunately, going for.
It's all a choice.
Well, no, because there's things that I was like,
not in your fantasy world. Not in your fantasy world. What are you choosing right now?
In real life, I would always choose Alvin. I would always choose Alvin. That's always been the type of girl I've always gone for the man that thinks he's everything and hot shit. That's always been my type. Unfortunately, to my despise. I get it. I've always dated them. I've always been the man that thinks he's hot shit. In reality, I would love to date a nice Simon. A smart, nerdy guy. I would love that, but it doesn't happen for me.
I feel like my type is Simon's. I feel like I gravitate towards Simon's, but it's like the evil ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it wasn't like any of my exes have been super like... Actually, no.
They're more
State
geeky
man
than
is an
nerdy.
Alvin. Penn State man is definitely an Alvin, but he thinks he's a Simon, and that's what he thinks he gets.
That's your type. You date Alvins who think they're Simons.
I don't know what Nick was. I don't think he's any of them. I think he's the bald man who's trying to manipulate them all. He's a secret evil
What's
fourth
his name?
thing.
I don't remember the actor's
I don't
name,
know.
but regardless.
He's the secret evil fourth option. Maybe I should go for a Chipette. Maybe the nerdy Chipette.
True.
Honestly, fuck any of those Chipettes. Well, like, the caricatures of them.
Wait, what's the Mean Girls one? I would love to date someone like that.
She gives, like, blonde hot girl, but, like, she's giving blonde hot femme. Like, yeah, I'm still gonna hit that.
And that's why I'm saying, like, that's what I want. Happy Pride Month. If you what's her name?
I don't know.
I need to find it so we can get a good clip off of it.
Yeah.
If your personality identifies with the main Chipette,
I kind of fucked with Theodore's girl, too.
They're all cute. Sweeties.
Yeah, except in the live action, they just have their fucking...
Brittany, yeah. If you identify as Brittany from the Chipettes, hit my line. For real. Like, actually. Yeah.
Oh my god, when they do the cover, they're like, it's my party. I used to eat that shit up. Okay, now that we're really getting through it, Alvin and the Chipmunks definitely a girl demographic.
Yes. No boys are watching that. What the hell did boys watch? I'm actually confused now. It's like, I can't think of any media.
I don't know. Definitely the Transformers, but that came out later in life.
But those are kind of for teens.
Bob the Builder?
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Can we fix it?
Who watched Manny as a kid? Did you watch Manny ever? Handy Manny.
Me and our friend did edibles the other day, and I literally... Like,
I was gonna ask you how that went.
We were playing the, like, Smash or Pass on the TV,
yeah.
And he came up, and they had his name, Handy Mandy, and I started crying. I said, why did they name him, the childhood guy, Handjob Mandy? What the fuck?
Wait, did you watch that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm Spanish, of course I fucking watched that.
Oh, true. But his voice? Have you listened to it
Can we talk
recently?
about how his name is Handjob Manny?
It's not!
I was high, so I thought it was, like, the funniest thing ever. I was, like, actually crying, laughing so hard. But also, it kind of is.
It kind of is.
His name is Handy.
Who did not... they need testing department in Disney where it's people that are like, let's think about this. Is this gonna be a sexual innuendo? Let's probably not use it.
And he was a fucking, like, fixer. Like,
he was like a mechanic, yeah, basically. The town's mechanic.
Right. And there's no sex tropes about a mechanic.
Right. Well, all of his tools talk to him, so...
Yeah, Ange has a crush on the fucking hammer.
Oh, wow, that's... Ange, I can't support you in that.
Do you want to know something else crazy?
His voice is crazy.
She has a crush on the Pegasus from Hercules that doesn't speak. Like, that's just an animal.
Yeah.
Like, it's not humanized at all.
Is it crazy if I say I get that more than the Tool?
No.
Well, the Tool's voice is annoying, but the horse, it doesn't...
Talk. That's an animal. That's fucking bestiality.
It's a cartoon, and he's very strong and silent type. So I kind of get it. Not enough to be like,
You're the first person to ever side with Ange on this ever.
I'm not siding. I don't get it, but I'm just saying I think that makes more sense.
She tries to throw it back at me, and she's like, well, what about fucking Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps? But I'm like, they speak.
They're basically humans, yeah. True. The horse is really not. The Pegasus is really not personified.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
And what I have to say about Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde is fucking two bad bitches at the same damn time.
And what I have to say about that is if they're not fucking in this next movie, get it off my screen.
You need to get into the fucking Tumblr comics, bro.
Girl, I've been on Rule 34 or whatever.
Like, they are showing whole.
What do y'all know about Rule 34? Because if you want to if you're just curious, you're like, I want to see this thing with tits out, you'll find it, and that's kind of a beautiful thing about that. Well, maybe not always beautiful, but like
it can sometimes be.
Yeah,
fun.
of course I've looked that up to be curious and see what the artists have got going on for these two characters.
Artists.
And yes.
I just picked that up. Yeah. Well, I've ruined it for myself because my Twitter feed sometimes, like, I was scrolling at my fucking work cubicle, which is open. Like, it's not a cubicle. There's, people can see. Mm-hmm. And I'm scrolling, and it's just those two men, Gojo and Gato, butt-ass naked having butt sex. Like, full fucking, I was like, whoa, how did I get this on the fucking For You page? And then I liked it and I saved it for later, but that's besides the point. My Twitter bookmarks, actually, they wouldn't put, okay, I'm gonna say, my Twitter bookmarks would get my ass put in jail, but not jail like pedophile jail like horny jail.
Yeah.
Okay, there's all types of fucking anime men, and they're all their dicks are out. And sometimes there's women there too. And sometimes there's Marauders characters. Everyone, hey man, I'm a fucking equal opportunist. What? Sex art? What the fuck is that called?
Oh.
Anyways, equal opportunity. There was this one of James Potter, actually, I sent it to Ange, and she literally, like, responded back, like, fucking barking. Oh, he's so hot. It was like a pride art of him, so it was like, sorry, we're talking about men way too much. But he is the only...
The one you post on your story?
Yeah. Oh,
both your TikTok story and your Instagram story?
I forgot I did that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know. The TikTok story, I was trying to just film it and send it to Aaron, my friend, and I put it on my story, and I was like...
It was just a screenshot of it behind you on the story. Yeah, it was kind of funny. Yeah, well...
James is gay, though,
happy Pride.
Ironically, so... But he's the most manly man I've ever had a crush on. Like big, muscly man.
Mm.
But also, he'd be fucking anything, so happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Yeah, happy Pride to Judy Hopps, clearly.
Judy, well...
For me, because I want to fuck her.
Oh.
And we were just talking about
yeah. Okay, I was like, well, I was just thinking, she gives very straight,
Painfully.
Yeah.
I think Nick Wilde could maybe be a little bit,
I could see him being bisexual.
Yeah, I feel like he is not even labeled, though. Like, he's just kind of going with it. Like, sometimes he's fucking a man.
He does what he... Yeah, he does what... I mean, it gives very Fiero.
Yeah. That is kind of his archetype, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What y'all think about that Wicked 2 trailer? Sorry, not to cut you off.
Don't be sorry. Me and
I know
Isabel
that people want to hear about
in
it.
Theaters. We watched the first one. Hey, I had a record number of cries, though, this time. And this is my, like, 4th time seeing it in theaters, like, 6th or 7th overall. I think that was indication that I'm going through something right now, because I was crying way more than I should have been. But, oh my god, when that the music comes in, and it's her, like, starting the No Good Deed Goes Unpunished.
Literally.
I literally was, like, getting up and gesturing with my hands in the front row, and Isabel was like, what are you doing?
Was everyone else in the theater, like, hype as fuck?
Oh, yeah, but I was the only one who was, like, gesticulating in the fucking front row, like, oh my god! And it looks gay as hell, them dancing around with the rainbow lights in the background. I was like, alright, we're going off script now, so y'all gonna fuck or what?
Yeah, that's exciting. Hoping for, just looking forward to a wicked fall.
I'm so excited.
Wicked fall.
I'm so excited. I am going to be sat, me and Isabel at least, will be sat fucking opening night. I don't care if I have to kill another person to get those tickets. I'm gonna be sat. I can't wait another goddamn second. I truly cannot. And oh my god. And I was telling Isabel, I was like not gonna spoil, because Isabel doesn't know what happens in Wicked.
Right.
But I was telling her, I was like, everyone's looking great, and like, I know everyone hates Ethan Slater, I know. But they hired him for a reason. He is a very famous and successful Broadway actor. Yeah. He was the lead role in SpongeBob. He has a great voice. And I was telling her, I said, I am so hype, because there's a scene where Glinda looks at Elphaba and says, they're coming for you, and you see, like, the pitchforks and stuff.
Yeah.
And he gets a song in that context. Oh, I know he's gonna eat it down. I know it's gonna be so fucking good. And then Fiero and Elphaba get a song called As Long As You're Mine, and oh my god, I know I'm gonna be feeling really crazy feelings in that theater. I love Jonathan Bailey as well. But truly, I think he's my favorite Fiero, and I think he works as Fiero so well is because he's gay. Because I think Fiero's character works the best when he's willing to fuck anything. Because that's his whole thing.
Right.
He don't give a fuck.
It's also very true to Broadway, because most of the people on Broadway are gay.
Yeah, generalization, but yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, can I talk about that? I mean, theater kids are gay. Theater equals gay. Sorry.
Yeah, more often
I
than
am
not.
obviously making a joke generalization.
No, more often than not, you're correct. Even. Okay. Well, the idea that, like, theater is inherently just everyone's gay, to me, everyone was so shocked when Ariana Grande, it came out that she was dating Ethan Slater, and I was like, you clearly have never been in a theater production, and you're not understanding. She is one of, okay, normally, the female lead is going to fall in love with the most adjacent male lead she can get that is straight, right? But Cynthia Erivo, gay, and in a relationship, off the table. Who's the next lead woman? Glinda. Ariana Grande. Who's the lead man? Jonathan Bailey, gay. Who's the next most adjacent lead man? Ethan Slater, boom. Of course they're gonna date! That is literally what happens in every fucking theater production of all time. 100%. A leading lady is gonna date the most adjacent to leading man, straight man she can get. And sometimes in that scenario, it's the only straight man in the production. But it still happens. It doesn't matter if he's the ugliest man you've ever seen. They're gonna fall in love. They are.
It's just part of theater, baby.
Yes, I'm sorry, that's tale as old as fucking time.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, how could this happen? I was like, how could it not happen?
Yeah.
It was either that or a fucking extra. And we have Ethan Slater right there.
What about it, guys?
And I'm not even talking about who's taken and who's not taken. And with the men, it doesn't fucking matter. With the women, that takes Cynthia Erivo off the table.
Actually, even better if they are taken. Sorry, that's the drama of the theater department.
So true. Honestly, that whole situation is so stereotypical high school theater, like, I can't even describe it, and maybe that's why I give it so much grace, but
True.
Also, to me, when celebrities cheat on each other, I don't give a fuck. Man, the men are fucking 12-year-olds. It could be fucking worse.
Fair. That's true. I mean, I feel like there's no rules when you're a celebrity like that, to be honest.
Yeah,
It's
there's no repercussions for... I mean, popularity, I guess.
Repercussions is just like... I don't know.
And I feel like when you're a celebrity, you're also desensitized to certain, like, lines of things, you know? Because so much stuff is just given to you, and you're put in all these situations where opportunities in front of you. And also, just when so many people are watching you, I'm sure some of moral type stuff is just... You're just desensitized to it.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem as bad as maybe someone who isn't famous would feel.
Right. This is just us saving ourselves for when we go really big and famous and we start doing really crazy shit. You guys can't even say nothing because we told you it would happen.
Yeah, when I'm famous and I have 2 boyfriends but I'm actually just gay as well, no one can say shit because that's just the fucking... That's showbiz, baby.
That's showbiz.
And when I'm dating Jonathan Bailey.
Oh. Well, I would like to see that.
No, actually, if anything, I'm gonna be either Pedro Pascal or Cillian Murphy's controversially young girlfriend. Hopefully Cillian Murphy, I would break up his family in the drop of a hat. I would make him cheat on his long-term wife. I don't give a fuck about his kids who are probably closer in age to me than I am to him. I don't really fucking care. I don't think me and Pedro would ever happen, though, because I think that man is queer in some way.
Yes.
Not trying to speculate, that's not right, but...
I would agree.
But I would... Hey, it doesn't fucking matter to me. I would do anything for that man. I'm on my hands and my knees. I'm praying to God.
Yeah. Happy Pride to them.
Yeah. I think if I ever saw Anne Hathaway in person, I would just drop to my knees and pray. She is so effortlessly... I mean, appears effortlessly gorgeous.
Yeah.
I see videos of her now, I'm like, this girl has not aged a day, and I'm sure there's a reason for that. But it doesn't change the fact that she's gorgeous.
She's still gorgeous, and yes. Very beautiful. I could never relate to that life, getting, not to say that they get by on their face card, but, just having such a powerful face card is, like, I'm in awe of that.
I think that would also... I think so much of society for women your worth depends on your beauty.
Yeah. And
to have it elevated to such a degree, I understand why so many celebrities get work done and stuff. Also the accessibility of it all. But at the same time, I can't imagine having so many eyes on you all the time, assessing how beautiful are you or how skinny you are. Yeah. Like, I would be doing crazy things to myself as well. Like, in terms of diet, exercise, and... getting work done.
Yeah, that's fair. I couldn't, like, on a realistic note, I couldn't even imagine having so many people's eyes on me and, like, talking about me.
Yeah.
Without, I mean, obviously, like, this podcast puts it out on a small scale, but, like, on a, like, A-list celebrity scale, I think I would combust.
Would you, if we, not saying this is ever gonna happen, but if we woke up one night and we got super internet famous overnight, would you, and it stayed that way? Because I feel like there's a lot of, you know, like, especially with, like,
virality
yes,
that comes and goes.
but that's not what it is. Let's just say, all of a sudden, we have a huge following, it's not going away. Would you want to continue the podcast, or do you think you would want to stop at that point?
How, what is internet famous? Like, what level?
Everyone would know the podcast.
Who's everyone? My employers?
Like,
I think the minute it
everyone
starts...
who's on the internet would know. Like, I would say Brittany Broski level of internet famous or higher.
That would be really hard. I don't know. I think it would depend. I don't know until I get to it. Because it would depend on, am I actually able to remove myself from all the negativity that I would potentially be putting myself to see online or not? Because right now, as I stand, I feel like I would not be able to stop myself from looking into it, and it would destroy my mental health. However, do I think maybe I could get to a point where I'm like, well, I'm just not going to look at those things anymore? Perhaps. But I have no idea. I would just have to wait and
that's
get to it. And also, like, the level of, like, what are people...
Yeah.
hating on me for, and, like, pulling,
yeah, the not to be anti-woke, because I'm not. I think everyone needs to get more woke immediately all the time.
Yes.
But the cherry picking of, well, they're not talking about XYZ or doing XYZ enough. I think that would be a bit of something I would get afraid of, because to adhere to those comments is to be performative.
Yeah.
And I would rather be genuine over performative, and I know what I support openly. Right. But at the same time, I think that would take a toll on my mental health, because I don't want to be a villain in the public eye when I'm not. If I was doing, you know, I don't know. But I guess that's how probably every Trumpy fucking celebrity who gets flack for it also feels, so whatever, but...
No, but I get what you're saying. It's just, like, I'm a part of internet community, so I see what occurs with that fan base, and I'm like... I would not want to see this about me and deal with this about me and these people making random assumptions about me. I couldn't do that. I don't know if that negativity would outdo, like, the positives.
Yeah.
On a real note, I think it will get to the point of when it starts interfering with my job.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I just don't know if I could ever be comfortable enough to quit my job on this.
I think I could get to a point where I would be comfortable, but it would never... But also, I think... what I do for work, or my line of my education and potential jobs I could have, yes, if I needed to, it would be hard because the job market right now is just so bad, but I think that I could leave in a way that would allow me to start again. I would never quit and being like, I never am going to go back to this type thing.
Well, that's true. I mean, I have a degree, I have experience. Human resources is never going away. However... for everyone, having a break in resume and then also having a high internet background on that, I just can't see myself coming back from that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would have to be able to retire off of an internet job to be able to quit my real job. That's fair.
I guess to me, I don't weigh that as heavily against as I weigh the idea of I don't dislike my job. I don't dislike what I do, but I do dislike working a corporate 9 to 5, and I think it's so miserable that we all spend our whole lives doing this. And if I think I had the option to get out, I think I would weigh that happiness of choice over the fact that it might be difficult to get another job later on, because I wouldn't be at a complete deficit, because you're 100% right. That if I left for 5-10 years, whatever, that would make it difficult. And I would, it would. But I guess in my head, it's like, I can't, if I had the opportunity to fully invest in something like this, and I chose not to because of fear of the idea that I couldn't go back, I would never forgive myself, because I constantly want to live my life to the most I can. And I'm not actively looking to get out of what I'm doing right now, but at the same time, I've hit a point in my, mental thought about it. I don't want to stop myself from pivoting my life completely if the opportunity presents itself, because I'm afraid of not having, I guess, afraid of the potential fallout of it. If I knew there was definitive fallout, that's a different story. And I also think that saying that with a bit of nuance, because I think I'm in a position... I say that, but I also recognize the fact that there are so many people in this country right now that would actually kill a person to have the job that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say my job is miserable, and I'm not going to say I would do anything to get out of it, because at the end of the day, people are begging to make any sort of money right now.
Yeah.
So that's the nuance of that. But I do think that I could leave to pursue something like this.
I don't think I could ever I value the stability more than anything else.
That's fair. I guess I resent the system that capitalism has put in place of what stability
I do too, and I hate it, but...
enough that I think I could. With the nuance of everything I already said.
Yeah, I don't... The internet is too fleeting and too... just not stable enough for me to be able to quit something secure that I do genuinely enjoy, even though I don't like, obviously, the system that it's built in, but like I just can't, like, what happens after I run out of money.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair thing to think about. I guess, to me, I don't dislike my job, but I don't like it because I think my opinion of this would change if we didn't live the type of work-to-life balance that America presents itself in terms of like, how many hours we work and how many days we work a week for the money we make, obviously, for the comparison of that. But for me, to be happy with my job would be to not have a fucking job. At least not a typical corporate America job. So I don't think I can confidently say, that I like what I do. Because to me, I don't think humans should have to do that at all. To the degree that we do it.
Right.
But I'm also raging socialist, so I think we need to destroy it all and start fucking again, but...
Right. Did you guys like that hypothetical talk, our 5 viewers?
Well, it was just, I brought up the question. I was just thinking about it because we were talking about it a little bit. I was also thinking, like, we kind of got a little farther away, but I'm going to bring it back a little bit. What if it was Slushy Noobs famous? Slushy Noobs level. Is that kind of the same? Do you think they're at the point where it's kind of the same? I guess that's more my question.
They're kind of at the point that it's kind of the same.
Because I was thinking in my head more Slushy Noobs. But also Brittany Broski's also, I feel like, on par with them in terms of fame. Like, if you're chronically online, Yeah. I guess... I don't know. I wouldn't know until I'm faced with it, because it's like, even like the influencers say it's like surreal feeling and hard to describe and like very shocking. Yeah. So I don't think it's either I adapt or I don't, and I don't know what the answer will be unless it was presented to me. I think I would enjoy, when I said Slushy Noobs, I think I more so meant, because I kind of didn't really take into account the way they're blowing the fuck up right now. I think I more so mean, I think I would enjoy a level of like Sinjin Drowning fame / community of because they have their viral moments, but they're not super viral all the time. And depending on if you were super on the internet in 2020, in 2025, I don't think the average super internet user would know who they were.
Yeah. No, I would love, like, that was kind of the whole point for me of the podcast, was a community of people that want to talk, or I guess hear us talk about these things and comment on these things and relate to these things and like find friendship. I mean, that's kind of parasocial when, like, well, most people watching this are our friends, but like if we were to go more viral or reach more people, it's for me it was for the point of building a community with those people and relating to those people and sharing with those people. Outside of that, I don't really have any interest. I don't really want random people to know me or know about me. I don't like, obviously earning money for it can result in like getting brands and whatever, and like that's how you earn money, but I was never interested in that part.
I guess in my viewpoint, if you create that community big enough, in a sense, you are already famous. And that's why when you said you didn't want those things before we started, to me, those are synonymous a bit. But I understand what you're saying.
Okay. All right, let's get into some advice. I'll go first because I think mine's shorter. Did I take a picture? Probably not because it's so short. Oh, yeah, I did. The best way to shave the cooch.
Don't.
Yeah, the answer is don't. Girl, if you haven't heard already, it is bush summer.
100%.
Yeah, you're asking to pro bushers here. Not political bush, but the physical bush. So, that's like, sorry. We don't really have the best advice for you there.
When I did, my only good advice was shave with the way your hair grows, even though that takes fucking longer and is way harder, and I never actually do it, but it's the best way to not get ingrown hairs. And then also, what the fuck is the Vaseline, cocoa butter Vaseline, on the cooch area after you shave will keep it really smooth. A girl named Riley, who was in my sorority, told me that when I was in college, and I wasn't anti-bush, but I was more like, I need to be clean shave every time I fuck a man or fuck anyone.
Right.
That worked for me really well. That's the only advice I'll give, I guess, because I don't shave my cooch, so.
Yeah. If you don't, very often and only on the occasion, you definitely want to get, like, a clip, or electric razor, and then you do that. It's, well, when your bush is, like, really long, how do you do with just a regular razor? It gets
Girl, I trimmed that shit first.
Trim?
Yeah.
With what?
Fucking scissors.
You're taking scissors down there?
Not big ones, like the
sure,
like the eyelash-eyebrow scissors.
Oh, okay.
I would not be that trustworthy of my fucking self.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I don't, with the bush, sometimes it gets too long where I'd be playing with it too much or it's sensory. I have to trim it somehow because I don't like shaving to try to thin out the bush. I want to trim it down.
Get a razor. Get a razor and you can put headers on it, like boys do with their head, and you can do like a toot, and then it'll keep them all at least 2 inches long.
Yeah.
So get a razor. I don't really recommend scissors. And then if you're going with it,
Can you get it wet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They have ones made for specifically like bikini trimming, in water. So yeah, I recommend that. Waxing really isn't that bad if you're not prone to ingrown hairs or, well, I guess if you are, it's supposed to help with that. I just have really sensitive skin. Obviously, I was on the Accutane for a while, and so like waxing just didn't work for me because I'm really, really prone to ingrown hairs, or not, it's not technically ingrown hairs. It's called folliculitis. It's when you're like the pores that have your hairs get infected. And for me, when you're ripping hair out, those holes are open, and then anything that even touches it is going to get it infected. And so if you're not like that, waxing is really good. Really not that painful. I mean, yes, it's your hair getting ripped out of your coochie. It's a little painful, but it's really not that bad. But for the girlies that are prone to getting like folliculitis or like bumps, not due to ingrown hairs, but just due to like acne prone skin, witch hazel on the area after shaving or waxing can help like clean it out. It's a little painful, but not too bad.
Yeah, no, pro bush summer. We're going full bush.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm going to change is what you can see coming out of a bikini because I'm going to Europe in July.
Well, Europe is very pro bush, though.
I know, but I'm saying for my own personal comfort.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going with my mom, my sister, and my cousin and Ange.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want them to see the bush.
Yeah, we're kind of like...
That's what
we're timid bushers. We're like, there's a bush under here, but we don't want it to be peeking through.
Yeah.
There's a bush going on. It's like if you can see the whole thing, you can see the whole thing, like, okay,
Yes.
But out in the public, no, I don't want them to know there's a bush going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not even that I don't want them to know, but it almost feels like you're seeing part of my fucking cooch. You know what I mean?
True,
it feels too
intimate.
Yeah, I'm not super comfortable with that yet. The goal is to get there. hey, the goal is to see the fucking bush through, like, you know, I'm wearing tiny, tiny short shorts enough, and you can see a little bit of bush. That would be hot, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah. No. We're working on it, guys. But yeah, sorry we don't have better advice for you.
Yeah, our advice is everyone get more pro-bush right now.
Yeah.
My advice is, how do I handle my best friend who is stuck in a relationship cycle with an awful man? Everyone in her life hates him, and she knows it, but she keeps going back. As her friend, I want to be supportive, but I generally want to crash the fuck out every time she mentions him, and not to sound like a bitch, but it's honestly draining my energy at this point. XOXO love the plod. Please don't say my name because she'll be angry if she finds her way to this podcast, lol. Don't worry, it's anonymous. Me and Andrew talking about this, actually, she's not the person who put it. Imagine I just name drop. But me and Andrew talking about it similar, because she's going through a similar scenario right now. I had, one of my best friends from college was dating a horrible, evil man for so long. And I understand what you're saying with the you want to be supportive, but at the same time it's draining. And I think, to me, well, the obvious answer is she needs to fucking leave this guy. But when you are supporting a friend who is in that scenario, and they're actually a really bad person and are hurting your friend, maybe not physically, but just, like, in general, the relationship is hurting your friend. To me, the most important part is being supportive of them, because when I was in that situation with my friend, the more I tried to tell her how horrible he was, the farther away it pushes her from me, and the closer to him. And that was hard, because there was a lot of times I held my tongue or I didn't say anything, because the nuance to it is I wanted her to be able to talk to me about it, and at that point in my life, I was ready for her to say anything about it, so I held my tongue so that she felt like she could say things, and I wouldn't just make her feel bad about it right off the bat. But if you're getting drained by that scenario, you have to put down some sort of boundary of, like, we can't talk about XYZ about him. It doesn't have to be him at all, because I think you still want to be that, like, avenue of support, but you kind of have to pick and choose your battles in the sense of, like, if it's draining your energy and she is talking about this man and all the horrible things that you just know would go away if she left him 24/7, you're allowed to put up a boundary of, I can't talk about this specifically about him, or I can't talk about him today, but I do support you, and let me know if something, like, an emergency is happening. I just think there has to be that go-between. It sucks. The scenario sucks either way, because, you know, in an objective world, I would just tell you to knock your sense into your friend and tell her she's being fucking stupid. But I think now that I've lived that scenario on both sides of it, you can't really. You just can't really. And when it was me in the horrible situation, I actually was more frustrated and upset with my friends who did make me feel like shit about it all the time. And I still think I still feel that way about those types of men, you know? Sometimes I do want to talk about it, and I don't want to feel bad about it and be told, like, you know, but it's a nuanced situation. I think when you're the person who is being confided in, you have to set your boundary somewhere, and that's totally allowed.
Yeah, it's just not, it's a lesson. I don't like framing it as a lesson, but unfortunately that's kind of what it is. It's something that your friend kind of has to go through and learn on her own. You can't, when you're in it like that, you think you're in love with this person, and you're truly, and it's true, you're the only one who knows what he's like when he's good. And you know your friends don't see that, and they don't have the emotional attachment to him that you do. So you are, no friend can convince you of, you know, seeing the other perspective, because you're like, well, they don't have the whole story. They don't know all the other things that go into it. And they don't. They're right. Because none of the good things that have happened are worth what's obviously, like, you've been put through. But it's just not something you can force into anyone else's brain. I've never heard of it working.
Yep,
really. I've never heard of it working where friends continually, maybe the first time they tell them, like, oh, I don't think you should be with them, and you're like, oh shit, maybe you're right, and they cut it off. But I've never heard of a friend getting out of a long-term relationship because her friends continually said this man is bad for you. Never. So that, I mean, it sucks, but that's just kind of like she's gonna have to make that decision one day, and all you can do is be there for her as much as you can to make the decision that hopefully she'll come to one day. You don't have to be her with her through all of that. If it really is draining on you to such an extent that it's ruining your relationship, that is her choice to make. And if she's choosing that man over you, it's not fair for you to try to repair the relationship because of that choice that she's making, by trying to fight against a man that she's already chosen over you. So I just want to get that first out of the way. But if you are wanting to stick through her with this, there's a difference between being supportive of her and being supportive of her relationship. And I think Elizabeth just kind of touched on that, is like, you're there for your friend, you want to listen to them, but there's certain topics when the same thing is kind of continually happening. You've given advice, they don't take it, and you're like, I just don't think this is going to be a productive conversation between us, and I don't, like, especially, I'm assuming you've probably gotten into fights over this before. That's what I see. And I would say, you get down that road, like, I want to be there for you, I want to listen to your problems, or whatever it may be, but I don't think us talking about this is going to result in a positive conversation, because we have different opinions that are not going to align.
Yes, I think there can be also a difference of a boundary setting in terms of saying, like, if it's something they're bringing up all the time, I think a big thing that I've learned in even just friendships in general is when someone, me and my best friend Liv do this really well, but it's a learned thing after living with each other and being so close for so long. When one of us is ranting, before we necessarily respond, or the other person will just say it right off the bat when they're ranting, they'll say, I want advice, or I want your opinion, or sometimes I'll say, or she'll say, I just wanted to rant, I don't really want your advice, I think I'm not going to change my mind either one, we're not going to change our mind how we feel about it, or two, advice is only going to make me more upset in this mind frame right now.
Yeah.
That could be a nice thing to implement, especially when talking about a shitty man, because sometimes with my friend who was in the shitty relationship, sometimes she just wanted to tell me she was upset, and she wanted me to be like, that fucking sucks.
Right.
Other times, and I would always, especially the longer along we got when I was dealing with this and I was trying to deal with me being frustrated at the situation and me trying to be supportive, me saying, do you want advice, or do you want to know how I actually feel, or do you want me to, to comfort you and be there for you? And I think that's really what you're getting at, you're supporting her, you're not supporting the relationship.
Yeah, nope, exactly.
So those are some tools to, I guess, navigate that a little bit better.
Yeah, you're supporting her emotional, well-being. I don't like the way I said that, because it sounds like you're just part of the system. She has to do it herself, but you're being there for her, but you're not, you can try and think of yourself as a biased, or like just a impartial third party, that you're not going to comment good or bad on the relationship. You're not going to, I'm not saying like, you're going, by not addressing the bad parts of him, you're going to hype up the good parts of him. I don't think you should. It's like, obviously, your friend knows your opinions already, and it's already out there for her to know. She doesn't have to continue to go there. It's a really tough situation, though, so.
Yeah.
I just hope your friend is freed. I hope she gets out of the point. I have faith in women that we do mostly get to that point one day. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. But she's just gotta learn it for herself, and I hope she gets there soon.
That is the harsh truth of it. It really is. So let's do our must recommends.
Yes.
On that really lovely high positive note.
Yes, yep.
My must recommend, just thought of it about 5 minutes ago, we'll land it on it. I'm gonna say I recommend watching the anime Naruto, actually. I'm on season 3. Season 1 was actually pretty boring in my opinion, but season 3, they do the really good job that My Hero, like the new gen version, does. Not version, but the new gen kind of idea of kids who fight do, which is really generalized. But building out other characters, because they're all ninja and ninja training, building out the side characters, and we know the side characters' powers, and we know how they fight. We've seen some of their fights. It's not always about the main people. And I think I'm really getting attached to Sasuke, who is a gay legend. It's crazy. It's so hilarious, because men love Naruto. Penn State man love Naruto, and now I'm watching it and I'm like, this is gayer than the actual gay anime I watch. Like, there are points where Naruto and Sasuke just stare at each other like this, and because it's older animation, Japanese takes longer to say than English, so the dub, they don't cut it down, so it'll just be silence, and they're just gazing into each other's eyes. And I'm like, and also just the writing itself, like, besides the technical parts, that man is a gay man, and even Penn State man, he loved Sasuke. He was like, he is my goat. Like, I adore him. And I'm like, I have to tell you something about your goat. Your goat takes it up the ass nightly. But that's what I think I'm liking about Naruto, because I didn't expect that going in. You know, I knew people ship Naruto and Sasuke a lot, but I didn't know. Just, you know, sometimes ships are popular and I don't see the vision. Just how I ship things and other people don't see the vision.
Sure.
But I do think that I can officially affirm to all the girlies and the gays out there, the men are fortunately right about this one. It is one of the best animes ever made, and I am starting to understand why. So, suggest.
Well, maybe for different reasons. Because
but also
like,
it's just, it's
in general, but
it
like,
is known as one of, there's the big three, the old big three, and the new gen big three. It is one of the big three, and it's also just one of the most popular shonen of all time.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe for a reason. Maybe for a reason.
Yeah. All right, and my must recommend is going on a picnic with your friends. We just did a picnic today for Ashlyn's birthday. Ashlyn, shout out, one of our #1 supporters of the pod. Woo! Thank you. Yeah, we had a little picnic for her birthday today, and it was really fun. Nice little sandwiches, lots of little pastries, desserts, out in the sun, played some card games. Very good time. Get your vitamin D up, you chronically online girlies, because we're talking to you. If you're watching this, you most likely are.
I look pretty tan right now for my.
You do, actually.
My typical green undertones that make me look sickly.
Well, girl, who are you talking to?
Actually, that's a lie. I would not rather have red undertones than green, but green can have its down points. In the dead of winter, I look sick.
Fair enough.
As opposed to you just look like a white person, you know.
Not when I'm super red. Then I look like I have scarlet fever.
Fair. I guess to me, the more rosy. Yeah, I guess it does. But I guess from my non-white viewpoint, the like more rosy. I'm just like that white person being the sun.
Fair, I guess.
So, but I wouldn't have thought about it in the way that you do. So.
Yeah. Okay. Is that it? Socials quick? I can do them. Wait, let me see if I can remember the socials. All right, so you can follow the pod on Instagram and TikTok. We Know Better Pod, but with 2 Ds on TikTok. And the podcast comes out on YouTube and Spotify. So like and subscribe and rate where applicable. You figure it out.
Spotify's rate and follow.
Yeah, whatever. No, you can rank or rate. All right. And my socials are Maury Cooper 2020 on Instagram and TikTok, and Elizabeth Rose Pena. Elizabeth Rose Pena Brown, the whole thing, on Instagram, and Edgy Liz on TikTok. Okay, guys, is that enough for you? God damn it.
Washington, D.C. is starting their Pride celebrations. Theirs are this weekend, so wherever you are in the world, if your Prides are this weekend, well, I guess this would be the weekend of when after.
Okay,
whatever. Yes, if your Prides are coming up, happy Pride, get drunk, have a good time. If they're coming at the end of the month like us, we'll see you again for another pod episode, and let's get ready for that.
Right. Bye, guys.
Bye.